an education for all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, we're learning, you know, step by step as well.
And I'm still learning. Outside this is like such a great experience. I never even knew they had solid turmeric.
Here, we'll try this little buzz chew here. So this is
I've done that one.
This is a stevia. It says stevia in it. Do you want to try a little powder?
Yeah.
Sweetener.
Get a package for you and get a package for your mom of stuff.
Okay.
So there's moringa, which is big protein plant, spinach,
I take that one.
a little stevia and mint. It's a breath freshener, but also has, again, so much nourishment in it. Like I mentioned, the moringa is big protein plant, the chlorophyll and the spinach and nitrogen.
And it melts in your mouth. You just
Yeah.
you let it melt.
And really good anti-funk medicine. The Spilanthes is renowned for, it's called the toothache medicine.
It's a
So
good
this
batch.
It's an edible powder.
It's powerful.
Yeah,
Tingly.
really convenient. And it's called our Buzz Chew.
This
What
is
makes the tongue tingle?
That's the Spilanthes. It's called the toothache medicine. So it kind of numbs but cleans. And you know, with plants and herbs, they say that like if your senses are high enough, then you don't really even need to consume them. You could just smell them.
Really?
And you would resonate with the power of the plant. And then your next level would be to taste. And you could receive all the powers of the plant through the mouth and your tongue, anything you needed. And then, you know, as we need to somehow sometimes cleanse the insides, that's when we're consuming through the digestive tract. So what we'll see today is we're gonna start in the garden a little bit, and all of the plants that go into our spices and superfoods and loose leaf teas, as well as our salves, come from our gardens. And it's all made here on site, so it's a full seed to cup concept, in which, you know, doesn't really exist out there. The idea of growing your own when it comes to herbal medicine. So, and we happen to do it on corn. So loose leaf teas, like I mentioned, spices, and we really, you know, why do we have all these products? It's all about lifestyle.
Yeah.
So if you can integrate them into your lifestyle, I tell people, you know, as far as drinks go, you have your, you know, daily, you drink your water and you have your tea, whether your tea's iced tea or hot tea. Certainly juices and other things are awesome, but a little less frequent because they take a little more energy to create.
Yeah.
But as far as having the other drinks out there, they have no, you know, the sugary drinks, there's
Oh,
no
yeah.
place in the diet, in the lifestyle. So ideally there's a thing of iced tea in the fridge, and then obviously you have your water, and you're making warm tea. And then you have things like spices and superfoods to sprinkle on your other foods and keep, you know, like they do in other countries, they use these herbs in order to digest the foods. So, you know, they don't eat food without ginger and turmeric and lemongrass, and that's in their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. These aren't spices and teas just before your workout, or they're meant to integrate into your lifestyle.
Yeah, your everyday.
Do you use the entire stalk of the lemongrass, or the bottom, or what part?
Yeah, well, you just use the grass part, so no, we keep the root in.
Yeah, but I meant the part that's.
Yeah, just the grass, so everything, you know, the aerial part of the plant. So if we come this way, we'll,
And how do you reduce your things to powder or chopped or consistency or whatever?
so we'll see that in the tea house, but we
okay.
we bring it in.
Don't
with-
tell me. Just
Okay,
show me.
sounds good. Yeah, so the two salves, this is for skin, any kind of eczema or bites or overall, I mean, that beeswax, that local beeswax alone is a medicine that's needs so much learning and education on it. It's amazing for immune system building. But then there's 8 herbs in there as well. Gotu-kola, which is a great regenerator. There's also calendula, which is amazing for the skin. Noni leaf, which is the herb I first started with. So that's going to help in so many ways for everything from pain to beauty. And then the comfrey's renowned as knit bone, which we'll meet comfrey in a little bit. That's the comfrey salve is for bone regeneration, ligaments, tendons, And we'll talk about the idea of, this is a practice. So comfrey is a great reminder that this is not something you wait till you get sick or you wait till you break a leg. You use these plants regularly, your hydration comes up, you are able to balance your rest, and your nutrition is more balanced as you use these plants regularly, and that way you don't have these emergencies, if you will.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes, that's what we're used to having, not tying the emergency to our actions in our life. We play the victim regularly. Walk in and say, look what happened to me.
Yeah.
But it was 30 years of a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Or 10 years of a lifestyle. This idea of playing the victim is, and tying it to a new disease that we create on a daily basis. Back in the day, Chinese medicine, they called things, blockages. That's what they used, the word blockage, to describe everything. And we have 20 new words in the English language that will get created today to describe new diseases. So what do those blockages consist of? Acids, toxins. Where do they come? Where do the acids and toxins come from? Coca-Cola, McDonald's. We know where they come from. And they get built up in the system, and then they go out and attract more of the same kind, right? And then you get this, we talked about this morning, this addictive-like nature where you can't get enough. You just keep going after that, acidic. And it's the toxins in the body that are going out and calling out for more toxins. They want to own you. The same way if the herbs are built up in your system, the alkalinity of your system will change, and then you will go out and seek fruits and vegetables.
Your body craves it.
Your body craves it. It knows, because it's trying to maintain that pristine river by attracting beautiful birds. Right? It's not going to go out and call for things that the pristine river is not going to like. Right.
Yeah, and I know them then. I've seen it on YouTube. I watched all the YouTubes that he did. I would have invited them over to speak at our summit, our national convention. I would love to have had you come over to just talk. So maybe next year, just come over for a date.
Especially with the older guys too.
Yeah. Well, even a lot of the younger players, today too, they're so health conscious, and preventative stuff like strengthening the bones, as you were talking about.
Well, and the younger
ligaments,
guys
tendons.
learning about longevity too.
Yes.
So that there's this. You got to compete in the now.
Yeah.
But what are you going to look like 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now?
Yeah.
And how is, so there's this idea of making the most of your presence. For sure, I appreciate that, but in the context of longevity.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that in your every action, you're a fool.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, longevity is what every one of these plants teaches us.
Yeah.
And then there's, as strange as it sounds, there's short-term longevity for an athlete also. For example, let's say that a young man it's one of our young men in the NFL, and they say that the average career is 3.5 years, but it's really not. It's only 1.5 years if you remove the top 15% of the players who play. The top 15% who play 10 years or more. If you remove them, the average young man who comes in lasts 1.5 years to maybe 2 years. When he goes out, he loses his job because better talent comes along, but as often as not, it's because of injury that he can't recover from quickly enough or completely enough so that he can continue performing at the level that he was performing before the injury. So he's out in 2 years. And with what we're talking about here, if we can prepare an active player, a young player, if we can prepare him before he gets hurt, as you were saying, so that he recovers faster and better once he does, maybe he gets to play an extra 2 years because he's taking care of his body. Well, consequently, we have a lot of the guys today who they're looking for everything that they can get to accomplish that, whether it's chiropractors, masseuses, things that during my day back in the 60s, we never did. You just went out and played, that's all. And had some beers after practice. And bought some cheap protein that was mostly powder or some kind of filler and stuff and drank that.
Well, within that context too, if an injury does occur, that there's a lesson to be learned, so we don't repeat it, right? We're tying that injury to what actually happened, so that when they come out of the injury, ideally healed, that they're faster, stronger, as opposed to, I got a bum knee now for the rest of my career. I've now learned something.
Yes.
And I come out, like I said, faster, lighter, stronger, better. And these herbs teach, again, the concept of longevity with that, so that we don't keep learning the same lessons over and over again.
Yeah.
Instead you learn less times, they sink in, and you take something out of it. So let's hit the gardens and see what we have. So we're constantly expanding the gardens, but in small kind. We are certainly as being in total 4 acres here. We expand based on a little bit of demand. As the demand picks up, we expand, and that allows us to keep up with our production and keep up with our processing and marketing as well, because we are fully seed to cup here on the farm. We talked about comfrey, the salve. This is that root medicine. We use both the leaf and the root, and otherwise known as knit bone. So in plant medicine, we have a concept called the doctrines of signature, and the plants basically look like what they do for you. And so this plant, it looks like the spinal column, right? So
yes.
For me, when this plant grows 4 feet high and up to 10, 12 feet deep taproot system.
Oh, wow.
So you look at the starfruit tree, this plant's growing a root system deeper, or as deep as a big tree like that. It's grabbing minerals from deep, deep in the soil. There's a mineral called allantoin, and the root structure actually mimics the bone. So if you get a thick root structure, it'll look like the femur. You get a thinner one, it starts to look like the ulnar or the radius. It's incredible what the comfrey root looks like. The doctrines of signature says the spinal column is here. When I cracked my clavicle, I broke my nose, those breaks, what I did with the comfrey is I put it on my nose, I put it on my shoulder, and what it does is, the first thing it does is it brings the breath all the way down. So that calm breath. What happens when you break a bone? Like a baby, you go into this hyperventilation, right? And the oxygen gets cut off. So in the case of a broken wrist, right? When that oxygen's cut off, I'm hyperventilating. All the bad guys are running to the wrist, right? The Fritos, all the toxins, right? They're running to the wrist and they're creating inflammation. So once that inflammation goes, now the wrist is suffocating, no oxygen. And for every moment that there's no oxygen, that break is continuing to get more nervous, if you will. So the comfrey calms the nervous system and creates that deep breath. So it's the most important thing in healing is that prana, that chi, that breath to bring through. And again, it's a practice. The second thing that the plant does, which all the plants do, is they call the water in. As they call the water in, you hydrate. Typically a break or a crack will happen out of dehydration, right? Brittleness. And how does that happen? Well, you're eating too many crackers. That's the kind of food that's gonna make you not dry. Dry food that doesn't go down the throat easily. That's what's gonna make you brittle and dry, and that'll create cracks or make your bones brittle. And the third thing it does is it detoxes the area of the toxins. So the comfrey's super alkalizing. We actually use this in our tea that we spread throughout the gardens. So we use this as a compost tea, as a fertilizer. And so it does all those things working together as an external poultice, and also as our salve. And we love it just on the plants in general. It breaks up the soil and allows the other plants to expand their root systems. So the plant inside here is called the chaste or Vitex agnus. You can see the purple flower here. This is renowned in women's, in the history of women's herbalism as the one for balancing women's hormones, women's vitality. All the herbs have a cultural connotation, so they'll take on the times of that, or the issues of that culture. And today we have issues of unbalanced hormones, right? So again, with this, it's, you know, none of the plants are magic. A lot of those imbalances of hormones are coming from our diet or our lack of rest. So an increase of estrogen in the diet, right? That's what a lot of women have, and there's a lot of estrogen in the culture. So what this is doing is it's ridding the body, detoxing the body of that excess estrogen and raising the progesterone levels. How is that doing it? It's otherwise known as the monk medicine. Getting us to bed on time, keeping the technology at bay, eating the right foods, all the things that monks do, right, to preserve energy.
Yeah.
So again, that once you get that good night's sleep time and time again, your estrogen and progesterone are going to come into balance, because in the morning you might not crave the sugar, and the next day, and the cycle, you can crack that cycle and get on a better lifestyle. So we use the berry in our teas, small kinds. So we have a women's wellness tea
Oh, you do?
that's really amazing. We've had a great response. But I also mentioned for men, like I mentioned, for men, known as the monk medicine. And this time of year, we're getting the flowers and the berry itself. Again, thousands of years in Ayurvedic medicine, India, Africa, they've been using this plant for women's vitality. Again, the chaste plant.
So you use the flower and the seed?
And the leaves as well. Yeah, we wait till the flower turns berry, so the flower goes into a berry, a hard berry,
Yes.
and that's what we use for the tea.
Okay.
Dakota, would you like a berry?
And then what do
stuff.
you do with the leaves? That for tea also?
For tea also. Yep. And we're gonna try and get some shade here. Here, let's head this way. So 70 different varieties of plants on the farm. We've met 2 so far. Diversity is so important. It starts with the gardens. The more diverse the plants, the greater the immune system of the garden, right? So we don't have to use pesticides and fertilizers, because the buggers come in here and they hit the allspice and the comfrey and the curry and they run. The diversity is what creates powerful immune systems, as opposed to the monocrop nature of most cultures and the monocrop nature, of most farms. Rows and rows of the same plant for thousands of acres. That is not good for an immune system of farming, nor is it good for a personal immune system when you have just a small array of vitamins and minerals. So this large, diverse plant array is what's going to create diversity in the soil. Follow?
So the weak immune system in the plants is the weak immune system in the humans.
The more monocropped our diet, the more we get our diet from monocropped plants, which come from monocrop soil and create monocrop soil. Self-fulfilling prophecy, right? That if one plant is planted for thousands of acres, it's going to be stripping the same vitamins and minerals to make itself what it is out of the soil. And then there's nothing left of what the plant needs, and the soil's dead.
And the plants get weaker and weaker
And the
after
plants
each
get weaker
year.
and weaker.
Yeah.
And then the cinnamon that global trade started from back in the day, and pepper back in the day when they went to the Spice Islands, and that cinnamon and pepper were growing in the islands, and we were going to war to get it, or we weren't, but someone was, is just a spice for flavor, but has no medicinal properties. The reason why they were going to the Spice Island was because of the medicine. There was awareness in that medicine. There was ability to use that medicine to create to help intuition and willpower and truth. So we just ate some curry. This is the curry leaf and the curry plant. amazing for iron. Again, in Southeast Asia, that's a daily tonic, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have a recent planting. We just planted this late last week of our ashwagandha. These are baby ashwagandha plants. A plant renowned for calm energy. So ashwagandha is kind of it's an herb esteemed in Ayurvedic medicine, again, for thousands of years, for preservation of energy, calm energy. So it's teaching people, again, how to preserve. A lot of times people want more energy. Well, the truth is, more important is preservation of energy, how to use what you have. The full-grown ashwagandha is here. It takes us almost a year to grow ashwagandha. We have 4 roots on the farm that we harvest. You met the comfrey, we have the ashwagandha, ginger, and turmeric. And we talked turmeric flowers this morning, right? Those are the 4 roots we have on the farm that we harvest. Everything else is trimmed, aerial. So most of what we're doing is trimming and making tea, and then it grows again. We trim, makes tea. We don't have to exchange biomass. So when I eat a potato, someone's giving me a piece of their land, right? And that farmer has to go and find more land. Has to go create the compost.
Yes.
Right? And it's a hustle. So our roots, our ashwagandha, our ginger, our turmeric, and our comfrey, which the Western world is starving for root medicine. That's what's going to help with this whole zone in here. That's where all the obesity comes from. That's where the lack of intuition comes from. We need that root medicine in our diet regularly. But the rest of the plants are trimmed, which is it's an awesome sustainability concept of being able to use air, light, and water in such a way where that's what you're harvesting. You're not having to bring in the biomass.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're feeding it, but we're feeding it comfrey. That's what we're feeding the garden, comfrey.
So what is that plant?
This is chili pepper.
Oh wow.
I thought those were like peppers.
Yeah, so again, in Hawaiian medicine and also so many other cultures, such awesome medicine for so many reasons. We have it in our curry powder. So our curry powder, ginger, turmeric, chili pepper, kefir lime, and curry leaf. So you're gonna get your iron, you're gonna get your warming medicine. This is also antifungal, antiseptic. And then you get ginger and turmeric for digestion, metabolism, immune system, liver medicine.
Aside from the fruit part, can you use the leaf?
We just use the pepper itself. And this is one of those peppers, like all peppers have different spices. This is maybe a half a pepper per creamy salad. Like if you put avocado in your salad, you can go half a pepper. Otherwise, it's a little.
Do they get bigger than this, or that's
This is the growth.
okay.
The plant itself would go here.
But the actual pepper.
The pepper is, I mean, they're gonna go all red.
Oh, all red.
They ripen here.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Just
so
be
they're
careful
small.
with it.
They're small little babies.
Yeah, so this is for dinner tonight. I would suggest something like avocado with it.
Oh, okay.
And just from now until to where you're going, just be careful with it.
Okay.
Yeah, on your fingers or whatever. I'll give you a bag when we get back.
Okay.
And so we got star fruit here. You can see the plant still flowering, and little baby star fruit here. These little guys.
Oh, yeah.
And then this tree will have to trim because otherwise the branches will crack. So huge hydration in this plant, sucking so much water. And it's one of those plants that reminds you, just seasonally speaking, how important it is to stick with the seasonal fruits and flowers and plants, because they're the ones that are going to hydrate you, keep you cool in the summer, and then warm you up in the winter, and keep you in tune with the environment. Right? It's so important. I'm just looking for a couple of ripe.
Doug,
Yeah.
We just had some.
did you consciously put this drain pipe here for this tree? Or was
No,
it
but
an
it's certainly
accident?
making the fruit go off.
Because I've noticed this tree is always just.
Yeah. So the drain pipe's coming from the roof. So
Yeah.
it's actually underground. And the idea is to feed the gardens with this drain pipe. We just haven't sprinkled it to the extent we
Oh,
want
so you'll
to.
connect something up to that.
Yeah, and sprinkle it up. Yeah. So we're catching water off that roof. It's going underground and coming up here.
Cool.
So we, for the most part, all of our irrigation is from the sky. We might be forced to water. We hand watered actually over the weekend with rainwater. So ideally, we don't have to do any watering here where we live. We're fortunate enough for that.
I think it's cool what you said about harvesting the air, the water, and the light. And truthfully, after all these years of studying this, that's what food is. And when we're eating those processed foods, we're getting fragments of that. And that's why I think I've always promoted the fruits and vegetables, is because the fruits and the vegetables and the herbs is the condensed sunlight, energy, and water. And then that's the perpetual possibility of eternal sustainability. And now we're not doing that. So we're seeing the results. So it's pretty cool that everything here is just pure God consciousness, really.
Yeah, I mean the perpetual nature of the system, right? Mining minerals and mining, soil is much more difficult than trimming plants that'll grow right back. So, and it's the whole process. We're pretty much closed loop here. So every footstep counts. We're not just ordering in and blending herbs. We're not just ordering them from India. Because we're closed loop, we feel every step in the process. And if we're digging plants out and having to put new ones in the nursery and chasing our tails, which is kind of culturally speaking what we do often, we feel it. So we switch directions when that happens. And ideally, if we are making the most of the renewable resources of air, light, and water, we're not going to be chasing our tails. And we will have a way more sustainable culture in which we're using, human innovation, more and more human innovation, because we have more time, right? We have more free time. We're not mining the earth. So, let's head into the main production garden here. This is local wood chips here, some albizia. We're fortunate enough on Kauai to have amazing tree trimmers that bring us the gold. And we're walking into a garden here with 5+.
Use the restroom
Yep.
before we get started?
Sure, right in that door. Yep. We've had 5 years of bringing in this mulch, so the beds of nourishment under here are amazing, and that our majority of our carbon is coming from this mulch, which is all on island.
And it's mostly albizia?
So albizia, coconut, the how bush from across the way. We're trying to find big nitrogen.
Isn't it usually coconut?
We get
Is
a lot
that
of
your
coconut.
main-
The coconut's a little more difficult to work with.
Oh,
I mean, this is the albizia and the cow bush is the ideal stuff. The coconut for nourishment's amazing for the plants, but just gets a little wet and more difficult to work with. So the longer that sits, the harder it will get. And then if you go deep into the pile, it's pretty much all dirt. It just breaks down over time. The sun's baking it. And then obviously the more broken down it is, the easier it is for the plants to utilize it. And then the role of the stuff on top is it's protecting the stuff underneath it from the sun to an extent, right? From drying it out.
right.
And it's also protecting it from the chickens and everything else that wants the goods.
And the goods are the bugs and the microorganisms and all of their waste matter,
Yeah.
which is what feeds plants, which is what a lot of us have forgotten. Microbiology is going to have to make a resurgence if we're going to get our health back, because of the way we're producing our food. It's damaging not only the plants, but it's damaging our guts as well.
Yeah.
So this is the way to do it, brother.
Right on, right on. So as you come in, the moringa is here. This is a important plant in Africa and India, renowned for protein, calcium, potassium. If there's one plant in the garden that you would theoretically live on, although I love the cacao, this would be it, the moringa.
I take it.
Yeah, moringa.
I take it.
So, especially for a plant-based diet.
It's powerful too.
Yeah.
The first time I took moringa, I pulled a Dan like I always do, and it said 1 teaspoon. And then
Yeah.
so what did I do? Like, 4 tablespoons. And I had a Herxheimer, is what that's called. Detox, big time. It's very powerful.
Yeah, very
plant.
I take it twice a day.
And easy enough to grow here on Kauai and also other places. And that's one of the things we're very in tune with here, or try and improve all the time, is what it is that we're growing. Because even though some plants are, prestigious and we really want to taste them, but if they don't work within the context of a permaculture nature, which is a sustainable lifestyle for the people that are here and work here, then we can't grow it. And moringa is one of those that grows really well. You harvest it about right here and it pops right back in a couple of weeks.
Really?
So yeah, it's amazing. I mean, certainly on Kauai, the perennial nature of the plant. So the idea that these plants can grow all year long, and there is a quiet season, a dormant season in the winter, but the plants aren't dying. And so almost all of what we grow, 90+% of what we grow, is perennial, as opposed to annual. So we're very fortunate here on Kauai to be able to grow perennials. And again, that goes back to the sustainability nature of what we do here, is that those perennial plants, knowing what grows in your
Nick,
environment.
this is moringa.
Well,
Oh. You did. Did you try it?
and then lemongrass. So what you're seeing here too is we're just bringing out plants and other cultures that they utilize every day, and for thousands of years. So as you come in to this zone, you have some valerian over there, small kind.
This here?
Yep, that's in our tranquility, help with the nervous system, help with sleep patterns. Again, what you're seeing here is this is telling us, the plants themselves, the size of the plants, how they grow. It's really dictating our blends and what comprises our blends, the recipes. So if we have a lot of one plant, then that will, that's kind of what Mother Nature wants us to feed people. If we just wrap around, this is cacao. So the part of the planet's greatest source of magnesium, whole magnesium. People talk a lot about protein, but I'll take magnesium all day.
Are any of those ripe?
Nothing's right. November.
Does it go orange?
It goes orange. So what will tell me that it's ripe, right, is the ants. The ants on the plants. And this is way early, so I don't know what's going to come of this. This would be the first harvest of the season. The way to know if it's ripe or not is you just scratch it, and you can see how it's green. Right, that's just telling you that it's not ripe, and none of these are. And we'll take 2 to 3 wheelbarrows off this plant come November. But this one I took out, somehow it got really warm, and it did ripen. But I don't know if it had enough time to grow. So, but the ants like it, so it must be sweet inside. So I'm just gonna cut it here and see what we got.
Looks like it's a little more prolific than usual, this tree.
Well, it's inside the garden too, so it doesn't look good. But here's what it would have looked like. There's typically seeds inside that are more mature.
And that's just not ready.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
No, okay.
I mean, you can see and the plants, as they all do, they like to eat themselves, right? So it enjoys its own compost. And so you said it's obviously more prolific. It's growing really well here. The plants that are inside the garden, we don't have a lot of trees in the garden, right? We have, in a permaculture setting, we're going to maximize density. We have some ground cover. We have some knee-high shrubs, hip-high, shoulder-high, and then we have trees. And all of it's about shade and the plants working together, the root systems underneath, and how they're all interworking with one another. If we put a lot of trees in the garden, then they're going to eat all the food. Yeah. So ideally, we're spreading out the trees. This is something you won't see in many places, which is a cacao tree not growing in an orchard of cacao trees, right? The majority of the cacao is grown on the Ivory Coast. Talk about monocropping, thousands of acres of cacao in the Ivory Coast.
Yeah, so this is diversity and 100% refrain from any kind of chemicals.
Yeah, and like I said, it's that diversity. I mean,
That's what allows someone to grow without chemicals.
That's right.
Is the diversity.
yeah.
Keeping the elements and the minerals in circulation.
So they're strong. They're strong. They can support themselves, right? Because it's that support system. It's these plants working together. Like the bugs come in here. There's an allspice tree and turmeric. These are all plants renowned. I mean, the other aspect of what we do here is we grow plants that are antifungal, antibacterial, antiseptic. The bugs don't like it in here, right? Lemongrass. These are cleansing agents, cleaning agents.
The bees like it.
The bees like it. The buggers, the snails on the spinach we gotta, watch out for. But as long as, again, you talk about air, keeping the garden airy, not overgrown, those are really important aspects of what we do here. And that way, as the air circulates, we don't have, water buildup anywhere, no mold, no areas of the circulation throughout, and light as well. So you can see the comfrey is that companion plants circling a lot of the other plants. Pineapple sage, these red flowers, this is a Peruvian plant. It's a nervine.
Pineapple sage.
Pineapple sage.
Oh wow.
And this flower is edible.
Oh.
And this grows throughout the West Coast, California. The flower is going to be a little sweeter than the leaf.
Oh yeah.
Mmm. Nice.
The leaf too?
Keep a leaf too, yep. We have that in our tranquility. And this is mamaki. This is an indigenous herb of Hawaii. So theoretically here before the canoes. So the other plants, in theory, were all brought in. But mamaki, the Hawaiian nettles, without the stinging. So big blood builder.
Wow.
Good iron.
This one?
Yeah.
You can eat the leaf?
It's a leaf. And this is the mama of, we just planted 10 or 12 keiki around the farm, and we weren't able to actually get, this was the one seed that we got out of about 1,000 seeds that we've planted here since we've been here, 6 years. And then this past November, we took cuttings and we timed it perfect, and now we have those cuttings around the farm. So this is in our women's wellness. That's the only tea it's in, is our women's wellness for blood building. That women's wellness, we have that chast, but the rest of the women's wellness is basically as much iron as we can put in there. So it's the only, but the mamaki, hopefully we can spread throughout the other teas. We're looking to make a bigger transition into more and more mamaki. Amazing tonic herb for daily use.
Is it a little more slow growing than some of the other ones?
It
It looks a little hardier.
It's hardier. You can see the tree-like branches there.
Yeah.
So it really depends on where you put it. It loves water. It definitely loves water. Yeah, it's 3 years in the making, but we have one that we put into a compost pile, and it didn't take long to get going.
And when you take these leaves, do you pick a single leaf at a time, or
No,
do you
we'll-
strip?
We'll go here,
And strip.
and this will all make its way into the tea.
Okay.
Obviously, we don't want a lot of stem or branches in our tea.
Right.
And then here's the basils, right? So there's Tulsi everywhere, the holy basil. In Ayurvedic medicine, this is considered maybe the most spiritual plant. And really for calming and calming of digestion, calming of respiratory, teaches self-awareness. So what self-awareness? I'm full, I've eaten enough, do I keep eating? It's sunny out, let's get out of the sun and get some shade. I'm thirsty. This relationship isn't working for me, how long am I gonna stay in it? Those are the types of things that this plant creates, that self-awareness and really puts you in tune with your environment.
Which basil is that?
So this is, these are all the basils. So here we have basils behind you. I would say 40+% of this garden is fully basil. of different varieties.
Would you say that that's about the equivalent to what's in the herbal teas?
Most of the herbal teas, the base of the herbal teas are Tulsi first, ginger, turmeric, lemongrass. So what we do is, you know, we're looking to get those 4 herbs, moringa, spinach, you know, the basic herbs that we think you should be consuming on a daily basis in your diet. And then the different teas we split, you know, the more medicinal plants like the chasteberry or the valerian for calming and nervine, we'll put small kind almost homeopathically. We'll put those herbs in. So 5%, 8% of the blend will be comprised of those types of really stronger medicinal plants for more acute issues. But dealing with acute issues, if you don't deal with them over the long term, nothing's going to change. Because it has to be a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
So what's going to change your lifestyle? The ginger, the turmeric, the lemongrass, the basil. That's what's going to change your lifestyle. And then you get fed small kind, the chas and the valerian and the lavenders and those kinds of plants. And that's what Mother Nature's telling us. I mean, the tarragon, this is how it grows. We don't have that much of it.
Yeah.
Great for the mind, right? Amazing for antifungal. But it's telling you how much to make in your teas. Mother Nature is. And this might be different in a different environment. So here we have some cranberry hibiscus, big vitamin C, also in our women's tea and also our children's tea.
You eat it, right?
Yeah, sweet and,
This is my favorite.
yeah, nice and sweet and
addicting.
sour.
Oh, it is.
So good. Like,
And when you harvest like these,
mmm,
when you clip the tops.
So we'll trim them like this.
so good. It's my favorite.
Okay, gotcha.
So good. I love this.
Wow.
I'm surprised we never put one in our garden.
So this is one of the few annuals we have in the garden. So this will go
Ooh, that one's a little strong.
till like November, December. The tarragon spicy, yeah. This will go November, December, and then kind of die back and go dormant for 3-4 months. But we won't necessarily have to plant more of it. So we won't have to take the plant out of the ground.
Mmm,
That one's good, Uncle Bob.
I love this one. This is one of my favorite plants to eat.
And it tastes
So the younger stuff,
Isn't that just,
Or,
yeah, that's good.
yeah.
Just the leaf.
I like lemony, astringent, sweet. Very great texture.
So Kauai grows amazing turmeric. So you're seeing turmeric here, turmeric
this is
here.
all turmeric?
This is all turmeric.
Oh, wow.
If you can get your turmeric, get it from Kauai. We are growing the world's best turmeric and ginger. All of Hawaii is kind of perfect growing environment for those 2 roots.
So they don't really grow much of the flower, huh?
So flower,
They smell amazing.
Mmm.
this is going to give you that lightly sweet flavor. Would you like another flower?
So fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Those are terrific.
Yeah, those are so good. Those, you're right.
I
It
love
would,
that taste.
for fish and salad, that would be really
Thanks, bro.
And then it takes 9 months to grow turmeric. We put the rhizome in the ground. This turmeric was a little unintentional. When we first got to the gardens, we were kind of throwing them everywhere. But again, it adds to that diversity. So I'm going to take a little bit out, even though the season is not quite here. And it'll grow, this little turmeric will grow maybe 3-4 pounds, but this is
Oh.
kind of the root that's
Oh.
coming off
Awesome, dude.
Ginger. No, that's turmeric.
well, in the ginger family,
Yeah, and
orange ginger, if you will. And
Dude, that is.
I take it too.
kind of like a carrot.
Do you ever chew it like that?
No, I never did that.
Very, very good in salads or salad dressings. I like to just eat it.
I do
So-
like that.
this, I do black seed oil.
Because it's so fresh, it won't be as spicy.
It's more like a carrot when it's like right out the ground.
Yeah.
With all the moisture, I think it dries up pretty rapidly.
That's some medicine right there.
I know.
What do you think?
It's a little bitter. We're gonna get you some stevia soon. Here, you can take some Roselle.
Mmm.
That was a little much.
I love that, man.
That one's a sweeter. It'll kill the taste.
Let me just come through here. And we talked about that doctrines of signature, the Gotu-Kola, renowned for the brain. And this plant, you know, synonymous with brain for thousands of years.
And blood flow, right?
Blood flow regeneration as well. Regeneration of skin, regeneration of organs. From what I understand in Tibet, they eat this wild, and this is what promotes longevity. So they're picking these out of the ground and living off these in the mountains. But here's a plant that grows wild throughout Florida and many of the southern regions of
Really?
of the
I didn't know that.
yeah, of North America. So, you know, we have all these brain issues going on around the world, and certainly in the Western world, and we don't talk about this, but in my, you know, humble understanding, this is the most important herb for the brain. Gotu-Kola. So why aren't we talking about Gotu-Kola with all the brain things going on?
Yes.
And if it's growing wild in abundance throughout Southeast Florida, why aren't we harvesting it? Or why aren't we putting resources to go get it? And just, again, I didn't know any of this before I got to Hawaii, and I'm, you know, grateful for learning, and it's just kind of spreading this education, because we grew up without this information,
Yeah.
right? And I grew up on Wonder Bread, and I didn't have this information. So now, can we get that information out there?
Yeah.
You know, and then once the information's out there, can we mobilize and get the resources that are in our local environment to help people?
Yes.
Because it's growing there. It's all growing there, and it's there for a reason.
What formula has the?
So the Gotu-Kola is in a
Gotu-Kola.
lot of our teas. It's in our Vitality, our Love Potion. It's in our salves. It has big. You'll see it in a lot of skin formulas around the world. So big regeneration qualities. In India, they say two leaves a day keeps the doctor away.
Really?
Yeah. So we have patches of it here. It's growing wild, but it's a, you know, you'll taste it. It's a green. They also juice it in India,
Okay.
so you can get Gotu-Kola juice.
Right.
So I think brain and longevity, calming the nervous system. Once the nervous system's calm, the brain is clear. So often our brains are going the way they are because the nervous system is on fire.
It's so crazy how different leaves give you different flavors and tastes.
That has such a profound.
Earth.
Yeah, but it tastes earthy. Yeah.
And bitter herbs, though, they'll
Yeah.
heal you up right quick.
Yeah.
Bit of herbs.
This is what we're all missing out on. Everybody got the sweet, the savory, the sour, the salty, but that bitter is the
Yeah.
tonifier of all the glands and organs, allowing for the circulation to be increased by the tightening of the blood vessels to the brain and the body.
Let's keep rolling. We got some Mexican oregano.
Oh, so yeah.
Watch you step through here.
That's funny.
We got a little cakey coffee coming up. It's just starting to fruit for the first time. These are green coffee beans.
Oh wow.
Looking for the little.
No.
They are somewhat of a diuretic green,
Yeah.
but you can eat them.
Not in it?
No, I wouldn't.
Why would you do it?
Yeah, it's a diuretic.
Oh, that's gonna
can
flush
try
me
it.
out.
It's
The,
nice when they're ripe, though. The
The
fruit.
red's great, yeah.
We've got a big old coffee tree at our house.
Yeah, and it's starting to go red.
Oh,
Starting to
prolific.
ripen,
It's
yeah.
delicious, yeah.
And then we have a Vietnamese cinnamon here.
Oh, wow.
So if you just kind of scratch the bark a little bit, we use the leaf and the twigs. It's a subtle cinnamon.
Smell this cinnamon. That's my little cinnamon.
So,
And crush it up a little, and you'll get the whole blast.
Oh yeah.
Next level.
Can you pick some?
What's this one, Doug?
Stick oregano. So this is all our Mediterranean savory herbs. They don't grow great in Hawaii because it is so wet here. So we're challenged growing, and this is kind of what we're learning too, is just, you can see the African Tulsi here. You know, someone's telling us grow African Tulsi. We got to establish, once the time's established, it'll do better. The oregano does well. But really, we're learning what, you know, every day we're learning which plants grow.
These just kind of do okay here.
If it's
They're-
established and it's dry, I mean,
Oh.
I've seen thyme growing in Oahu, urban Oahu, and going
Uh-huh.
well. But here it's wet. I mean, we're sitting right on the river, right here on the Kilauea stream. This garden is sitting on the Kilauea stream, and then it gets, you know, we get a lot of rain. So Mediterranean herbs are definitely somewhat challenged when it comes.
And this is the savory blend, which is too bad because that's like one of the best
Yeah.
products you have, in my opinion. That
Again, if
savory
we went to
blend.
Malawaa, we could probably grow more savory herbs where it's much drier. Some ginger, the yellow ginger. If you go deep in there, you still see some yellow, some root systems popping
Oh
out.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we're about a couple of months from harvesting, starting to harvest the yellow ginger.
Dude, that is epic looking ginger right there.
So another couple of months, we'll get more yield. It's just increasing in size, and then all the leaves die back. So the plant's putting all its energy into the root at that point.
Pop.
Yeah.
So it's still holding on to the sprouts, right? And then once the leaves die back and the flowers die back, there'll be time to harvest the root. That's gonna be sharp.
That's a gnarly kick. That's a strong ginger boy.
That's gonna be sharp.
You're not gonna like it, baby.
Yeah.
I love it.
Woo! That's a strong.
That's a real good kick on a ginger.
We just whole ginger right out of the ground. So Thai ginger, yellow, or galangal ginger. This is a big root system. And we put all these sticks around it to keep the chickens out of here. They just dig and dig. But you can see way in there the root system. An awesome permaculture plant, perennial. Keep it here all year long and just take it as you need it. You guys okay?
Yeah, I just need this purple one.
Oh yeah, please. As you come
Should
through
have
here,
warned you.
Some garden sage.
Oh, wow.
You know, just reminder of like this sage was sage and rosemary. You're talking the most important herbs in the Roman and Greek empires. Of the most powerful empires in the world were using sage as the most important herb in their medicine cabinet. And we don't, you know, people don't resonate with the powers of these plants that have been through time, but all of these plants in this garden at some point in time had their time as the most important of plants in their culture.
Well, the sage, I'll tell you, man, you can make a lot of delicious. You throw that on a salad, it takes it to a triple the level.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing you throw in, a little bit of corn and sage salad. It's amazing, delicious.
Well, and then throughout history, right, it's been associated with religion, birth, death, cleansing of environments. I mean, you're talking about one of the most religious, you know, the plants that have most religious connotations to it, and for good reason, because it is so cleansing of the environment. You can smell the perfume from here. Yeah.
Demons were the parasites and the microorganisms that, you know, when they had these plants that would get rid of the demons.
That's right.
That was the people that.
That's right. Some more moringa here coming through, and basils.
Hey,
Hey, Dan. How's it going?
perfect.
Got some more roselle,
I'm getting some Kauai dirt today.
basil. Just briefly on the yacon, this is a Peruvian superfood, kind of a staple in their diet. They use the root. It grows a quorum, and kind of you can eat it as a raw carbohydrate. We use the leaf. Has an active called inulin, and inulin is renowned for balancing blood sugar levels. So this plant in Peruvian culture is a really important plant.
This comes from South America down there.
Is it just the root, or do you use the plant for anything?
So we use the leaves in our tea. It's in our vitality, and our vitality is our blood sugar balancing tea.
Does that have any flavor,
The yacon,
or does it more have the medicinal properties?
it has flavor. I mean, the root system is renowned for the sweetness of it, and there is some sweetness with the yacon, with the
Oh,
leaf.
there's a lot of sweetness. That's
Yeah.
like a fruity.
So in our
That's
vitality,
really
it's
nice.
big
It's
circulation.
like a sweet, the tuber that grows under the ground is like a sweet, kind of a cucumber water chestnut texture, but it's also, they can make syrups out of it, and so it's really like known for a sweetener for people who have diabetes or suffer glucose imbalances in their bodies, because it's an alternative for sweetening. And the leaf as well holds a lot of those
The
characteristics
leaf is
as well.
good, man.
Yeah, they're
That's
delicious.
a lot of sweetness. That's a lot sweeter than I thought.
Yeah,
So how do you guys use the
the leaf.
the root?
We leave the root in the ground for the most
Oh.
part, although the root is
Delicious.
awesome food. Have you used much?
Not well. I've used. It's hard to because it's so processed. I don't even use it. And
The yacon though, you can buy at the market, the root, and it's just, you can eat it raw. It's amazing root.
Oh, okay.
So you just eat it straight up like an apple.
We put it in our salads. If
Oh, I
you
don't even think I have
slice it up
before.
and put it in salads, delicious.
Olena Farms grows it.
Okay, I'm gonna be looking for that now. Cool, but I mean, just it's got a real. It's like 1/4 as sweet as like stevia almost.
Yeah, I mean our
Stevia's
variety of
pretty
stevia
sweet.
is pretty sweet though.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm really surprised. Am I tripping?
Hi.
No, it's-
It's sweet, but it's also really bitter. It has both.
You know what it is? I just ate a whole knob of ginger, so my whole system could be just out of whack. I mean,
like when you eat
let me try another one, honey.
Yeah, it's not tasting that super sweet.
You guys get rid of the ginger in your mouths yet?
I've been
I didn't
eating
do it. I knew better.
I've been eating the purple one. I'm like,
I still
okay,
taste
give me
sweet.
some more.
Are you nibbling on the
better
cranberry
if you go
hibiscus
straight
as
with
well?
That as well.
Yeah, your palate's just exploding with flavor.
Yeah, I'm eating one of everything.
So this is
wanna
Maluka.
get
This
the
is what they
Hawaiian
make tea tree
pharmacy
out of.
vibe into me.
Tea tree.
today.
Oh.
So not an edible, but kind of just rub the ends of the plant. And this will go 60 feet in the air if we let it.
Oh wow.
So just rub the ends. Antiseptic, right? One of the
Oh,
most
and-
popular antiseptics in the world.
Tree.
Is this just for a hydrosol?
Hydrosol, we're gonna start looking at a salve with it. But from what we understand, external use only.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
makes sense. Very, very delicious. Yeah, I tasted it again. It still tasted sweet to me.
Like a moonpine bomb.
Yeah.
We can help with cramps.
Yeah, we have. You should just have. It's going to dairy right now. It's the cheese. Right here.
We had cheese.
Did she have a dairy?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but we'll
I was
switch that
just
up. I have.
curious.
We need to get you home and get you some women's wellness, huh?
I'm good. I was just asking.
You know what?
Oh,
We have some.
like a women's wellness salve. That's a good idea, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Do you guys have that, or
You can just chew on those. Those will help with cramping. They'll help with any kind of immune circulatory issues.
all
So
good.
anything from like migraines or
It's reasonable.
cramping, blood
not as-
circulation, release, but also nourishment. I know it. I've been nibbling on these
It's
cheese
strong.
like all
What
day.
is that? What is that?
Allspice berry.
oh wow,
I'm about to get
yeah, you're really
So
trying
that's why I
to
was
get
like,
me.
oh, let me hang out
Yeah.
with you for a little.
Yeah,
Cycle out.
Yeah. Pass it on.
Allspice berry.
Oh my God, that's awesome, dude.
I'd love to try.
I think we kind of missed that on the camera. This is, I mean, the chase and the
taste
women's
berry?
wellness is
Yeah.
absolutely key for the women
Mahalo.
during that
Harvest.
more challenging time of the month.
Yeah,
Whoa.
these are totally.
This is what Columbus thought was pepper that he found in the
So yeah, this is our in the which one, the allspice?
Yeah.
Powerful. Super cleansing.
They told him not to come back without.
You're gonna get some great circulation going. So
He came back and he said, "I found pepper,"
Really feeling
And
it.
the good thing
but he
is
found
it's
allspice.
Yeah.
over and you're releasing.
Mm,
Cycle on that, so
awesome.
cramping, that's why we have all the dehydration because we forgot to drink water.
Yeah, I actually, have you heard of Power Garden?
No.
It's this new thing that they're doing, but I didn't want
So look at this.
to do my own garden.
It's like the pharmacy here has doubled in size since I came. This is all new over here. All these. And the mint is really expanded. This is all mint here.
We
And
used
the
to do bad
turmeric.
harvest of like chaseberries.
And all
and
this is new over here. Since when we first
Oh, it's just booming
started.
right now. You're coming at perfect time. Everything's like flowering. We just prepared this crazy meal, amazing, like threw it down for this retreat, this crystal healing retreat this year yesterday. And up there over there, after you. Yeah, with all the flowers on the farm, the edible flowers.
So the herbs are amazing in that, like, the main nursery sits in the garden. You know, that's where all our seeds come from. That's where all our cuttings come from. Most of what you have here, these are ashwagandha volunteers. You know, birds or wind or other things took the seeds and planted them for us.
Oh wow.
And then we just took them out of the ground. In Kauai, that's how it rolls. Very abundant here. These are, I believe, spinach or maybe moringa starts. So we're just taking cuttings from the branch and planting more. Comfrey just from the root. More ashwagandha, some tulsi, some curries, but everything, and then some white turmeric. Again, everything was kind of, we took it out of the garden. Now we're nourishing it in a nursery. We're going to put it back into reinforce.
Now these will just root naturally without
Yeah,
hormones
you'll
or
see them.
chemicals or
Yeah,
anything?
that's right. They'll start to show some greenery really soon.
There's no chemicals used here.
No.
No. Just all natural fertilizers.
Right here is the comfrey tea, and this is a tulsi tea.
In here?
Both of these go back into the garden. So it's not that exciting, but
This looks like. Oh, okay. So it's like, and then down underneath here.
it's just all the
there's a-
leaves, and it
and it's
becomes
rotten, and it comes out down
Yeah.
here.
Right.
yeah.
That's how it's done.
And then we have 3 or 4 other composts going with ocean water,
Really?
river soil, plants that we gather all throughout the farm.
You can use salt
Fruits.
water?
Yeah, and it's all about the recipe, right? So certainly salt water is very important.
Do you dilute?
Jeez.
Oh yeah, I mean only little bits of salt
Right.
water compared to
Yeah.
but again, that's going into the garden in small quantities across the board, but I mean,
You're
it's all
bringing
so
in the full
important.
spectrum.
Yeah, you're trying to gather it all.
Yeah.
And again, that's going to build that immune system, right? Diversity.
Yeah. So these plants are very special
Yeah.
in today's world.
And we're getting more into that closed loop system. So the more we can gather here in close proximity to this place, we're probably 90 to 95% closed loop. We are bringing in some things like, you know, salt water or some minerals from Lahui. There's some things that we do bring in from off the farm or from, but closer and closer we're getting to the point where we can just do everything on our farm.
And what
Yeah.
kind of minerals and in what form?
Either rock mineral, broken down rock mineral. You know, I mean, there's things like sand that's really healthy for breaking up soil. And I mean, there's so many things that we would do if we had the capital.
Yeah.
You know, our list would go on and on. But you know, being very resourceful. So what we can afford at the moment.
I know back east they would use fresh oyster and clam shells.
Yeah, I mean, it's just life force, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to find as much life force as you can.
Well, this place has gotten nice and cleaned up.
Those are a type of humidity. And so these are our solar dehydrators. These are our solar panels. You know, every step of the process, from the gardening to the way we take care of the plants, to the way we diversify the garden, but also the drying aspect. Most of the plants that you consume in herbal medicine and supplements across the world they're baked or fried in
Heated,
minutes.
artificial.
Yeah, and they're just burnt to no end. Because it's all about how are you preserving that plant? Well, we take up to a week to preserve our cacao, 2-3 days to preserve our mint and our tulsis. So depending on the plant, it's a long process of slow curing. The slower you cure at the lower temperature,
Yes.
the more you're going to capture the life force of the plant.
Yeah.
And the key with the medicine is the original intention. If you tweak the intention of the plant, then what do you have, right? So ideally, you're really trying to salvage or transfer that original intention. So these are just collecting heat, and then inside of the closets, and the closets hold all the herbs. And so we're collecting heat all day. The heat has nowhere to go but up. As it hits the closet, there's almost like a tornado effect with that heat, and we've created like a convection oven in there. The dryers get to be about 115 degrees on average. This is red raspberry. This is a big women's herb known for iron.
This really took off, didn't it?
Oh yeah, we just cut it back. It's a total jungle.
I don't even remember this.
Yeah,
This is
it's
fairly new.
We just cut it all back too. You can see all that comfrey that surrounds it. We got our bees over here.
These?
Yep.
Oh.
Just started harvesting honey this summer.
Oh wow.
Another mamaki, it looks like. Papaya forest, ulu, sugarcane, more mamaki, nice. That's over there. This is all the Coca-Cola. Through here, looks like some mint made it in as well. That's a mango tree. There's coconut trees that surround, citrus over there. Deck is awesome.
No. The actual, he's got about 12 trees. So,
That's legit, right?
So good.
That's the first
Fresh.
harvest.
Oh, these are so fresh.
Off this one over here.
They're soft.
Yeah,
Softest mackinac I've ever had.
yeah. That's
First-
the way
first harvest.
when it's more like a fruit or a vegetable that way.
so highest percentage of saturated fat of any food, right?
I
Macadamia nut.
mean,
Really?
and it's one of the better oils for your body and brain.
So on this one too, you can extract the oil, and just to give you an idea of,
So this is a stainless steel mesh. And
See that
different
oil?
grades of it depending on what you want.
Damn,
So for like
nice.
So how much mac nuts do you need for-
We have the more open mesh.
About 8 or
for
12.
ginger.
So these are creamy.
For serving.
Then we
Oh, yeah.
want more taste.
Wow, but then if you wanted to get
So
some
different
nice,
quality grades.
nice oil on your face.
so you
Yeah,
can have a mesh, so
really
you
high
can
quality.
sort of
One of
dig
Tavis's
up
favorite
to the-
oils.
So these are all, right off the tree, and
Okay, yeah.
most of the mac nuts are coming from the Big
I'll
Island.
walk you through the inside, so these
Um,
are gonna lead to chambers,
but
and inside the chambers,
We
these
do
nuts
have good Kauai
and
grown
all
mac
different
nuts here.
herbs are in there, and when they come out,
Did you try one?
No, I didn't.
then
Would
we
you like to?
I only have one hand.
blend them to blend spices and stuff like that. I'm Jenna, by the way. That's
Baby.
Oh, hello, Nicole.
Nicole,
Pleasure.
nice to meet
Yes,
you. What's your
honor.
name?
Aloha, bro.
Ryan, nice to meet you.
Mmm. Wow.
That's why, yeah.
Oh, that is what a macadamia nut.
So cool.
So those dryers I showed you outside, we're just gonna open up this dryer.
Epic.
Maybe we'll grab some light in here.
Well, it's warm, but not too warm.
Yeah.
That nice smells like popcorn almost.
So we're at 125 up top, but down the bottom we'll be at like at 105. So the heat's coming in up top, it's going down, and then up a chimney on the side here. And we have peppermint, tulsi, noni leaf. This is all ready to come out. All day long we'll be moving these herbs in and out of the solar dehydrators. Allspice berry up top, which we just saw in the garden. And what do we got here? We got some curry leaf broken up, lemongrass, katuk, more peppermint. So these are being worked all day long, in and out, in and out, in and out. We have 6 of them across. And again, that slow curing is really important. And this is, plants are coming in all day long, and then we're curing them, we're making salves, hydrosols, and then they're going out, typically fully packaged. So although this is a great place to grow herbs, it's really difficult to dry them here.
Oh.
Have
The
you lost
evenings
many herbs this year?
No, this year we've been pretty
Ever
on it.
since the humidifiers, and then it's more of just really watching them.
Yeah, I mean, we're, 7 days a week. We have people in here pulling herbs out and putting herbs in. So, just keep
It's
staying
just
on top of it.
what you've got here is something very rare. And as I've gotten more of a deep relationship with you guys, I understand that more and more about what's going on out there and then what's happening at a place like this. This is very rare. It's like seed to canister, and there's no middleman. There's no guy that's going to sprinkle some weird thing on it. There's no processes that are outside of this beautiful flow of nature, although you're shipping around the world and things like that, but it's so environmentally safe for the most part, and the finished product is just so much care goes into it. It's amazing, really, and that's what makes Kauai Pharmacy unique, is the care, and the quality.
And the plants are behind us now because they're kind of dictating our decisions as we go now. I mean, the first handful of years we were in our minds trying to figure out how everything was going to lay out. But then when we started putting the plants in the ground and using them, they were kind of giving us the information to move to this point, because I really don't know how we got here actually. But we're here, and hopefully there's more of us that pop up, and even locally on the mainland of different kinds, and we kind of spread the message of this. And I know people are doing it everywhere and have been doing it for a long time. But as far as more resources going into it,
America needs that more than any other place on earth, a resurgence. It's just taken such a back seat to the allopathic, and it was definitely intentional and conscious, but for the people that want to get back into healing themselves, because that's the only choice that we really have, they're going to have to find out about how to use these herbs to cleanse and heal.
well, for throughout the history of time, this has never been considered alternative medicine.
Yeah, alternative.
This is only
Until recently.
in the last 50 years,
100. Yeah.
that people call this alternative. So the history of time, this has never been considered alternative medicine.
Getting your glands cut out, that's the alternative, man.
So, in any case, and then lastly, this is where we package and ship from. Hello. This is Casey.
Hey,
She's
Casey.
working on a busy weekend ordering. Let's see, we have all our individual herbs here, and then our blends here. So, individual herbs, let's check out, let's do a little ginger. I believe this is some ginger powder.
Oh wow.
And that's all done.
You want some more ginger?
Oh,
Vitamix.
no. I'm gingered out.
She wants to smell a little bit. Just light.
I'll take it.
So when we're powdering this, the entire tea house is in one big cloud.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then let's see if we can find some turmeric powder. Grinds. There's some powder. This is some beautiful stuff too.
Oh wow.
Awesome.
Oh, you can smell it from
Yeah.
there.
Smells good.
Yeah.
Mmm. Everybody loves turmeric.
And let's do a little bit of. So we didn't get any cacao ripe, but we do have some dried. This is all cacao here.
Ooh.
So whole magnesium, probably the rawest cacao
Bust it out, bro.
certainly around. Doesn't get more raw than
Yeah,
this.
this is like the best cacao. in the
So when
world.
it's raw, you're capturing that magnesium.
So good.
What do you think?
Different.
My kids like the
Mmm.
cacao.
I'm gonna watch Rye.
You take that and dip it in honey. That's the true
What do you
chocolate.
think, Rye?
It's good.
Mmm. It's a little bitter,
You're
right?
Scamming me. You are scamming me.
What do you think? It's like a little bitter, right?
It's a little bitter, yeah. The
But
first
so-
initial kick though is a little sweet.
Yeah.
How's like
Also, it's got that sweetener on the outside, the sugar on the outside,
Mmm.
oh, that's
a
what
little
that
bitter
is.
on the inside. And what they make chocolate out of is cacao beans,
Oh.
right? This is what they make chocolate out of.
Oh, okay.
Cacao beans, and in
Oh.
most cases, sugar.
And I
No,
didn't know
that's-
this cacao came from the Ivory Coast. I thought it came from South America.
Awesome.
I mean, I don't know what the percentages are now, but when like Hershey dominated the commercial, you know, in the 80s, it was like 90+% of the cacao came from the Ivory Coast. Now it's Latin America and South America, but at one point the Ivory Coast was just, and I mean, it's still. And the funny thing is, on our side of the seas, we don't know what chocolate looks like.
Exactly.
We don't know what cacao looks like.
Yeah.
And if you go to the Ivory Coast, they don't know what chocolate looks like.
Oh, okay.
They don't know what a bar of chocolate looks like.
Gotcha.
Right? You said, look, this is what chocolate looks like. Where'd you get that?
And what is that?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if I showed most people in America a cacao pod, they wouldn't know what it was.
Yeah, I know.
99% of the people in America would not know what a cacao pod looks like.
More than that. No one would.
Right. So all of our teas come in, all of our herbs come in here cured, and they don't leave until they're in a package. This is where they're tinned and boxed, and we have everything from, you know, most of the herbs are, the main word I like to describe is circulation. That's what the herbs are all about, is circulation. As that circulation increases, everything goes off that, you know, concept of, you know, you're going to cleanse, you're going to detox, you're going to raise your awareness, you're going to raise your intuition. All those things are going to happen as your body's circulating better. So this is like a chai flavor, the love potion. It's got the ashwagandha in it. The vitality is going to be big circulation with the noni leaf, as well as with the turmeric. So the turmeric's going to help big for the immune system. The wellness tea's got those 4 herbs in big way. I named them: ginger, turmeric, tulsi, lemongrass, and then has the noni leaf. The women's wellness designed around the shast and red raspberry, and then the purity, which is kind of our next level cleanse tea, but it's certainly lifestyle oriented. All of this is designed to be drank for daily tonics. And you know, people talk about side effects. Rest in water, coming back into balance with your life,
Yes.
increasing your nutrition as it relates to your diet, fruits and vegetables. Those are the side effects. If you keep in denial and keep drinking the tea, staying up late, forgetting to drink your water,
Yeah.
big side effects.
Yeah.
If you move through your lifestyle, call in the fruits and vegetables, hear and listen to what the herbs are telling you, less side effects.
I have a personal curiosity. Are the love potion and the women's wellness still the top sellers?
Yeah, but
Has it kind of leveled
it's
back
leveled
out?
off. Yeah, the
Wow.
vitality's done great. The wellness, the purity recently has been really popular.
This is more of the detox. The
Yeah,
purity?
but we've made it more gentle recently.
Oh, right.
So
So
that's
it's more for the before. It might not have been so much.
it
of
wasn't
a
as gentle.
daily-
Yeah, it was really trying to detox.
Detox.
Yeah, but and it still will. I mean, tea is tried and true for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Why? Because you can self-dose. You can create a light brew, a dark brew.
Yeah.
You can drink a lot of it. You know, people ask me, well, how much should I take? And it's like, well, I don't know what time did you get to bed last night,
Yeah.
and what did you eat,
Yeah.
and what do you want to do today? Do you want to run a marathon? Do you want to rest in bed? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
So, keeping all those things in balance, it's really learning how to listen to what the herbs are telling you.
And how's the detox tea taking frequency?
So the purity for me, like I'll drink a tea, like a cup or two, and I'm good. But that's me. If you're trying to go, I've been through it for 6 years, 8 years of getting that stuff out. If you're looking to drink it regularly and change your lifestyle, you could drink it 2-3 times a day, 4 times a day for weeks. But again, then take days off. You got to find a rhythm. Your balance. You got to find a rhythm that works for you. People that are working 70 hours a week, not getting the rest, might not be able to drink as much. People that have the summers off, they can go a little deeper quicker.
Yeah.
I have a question about the wellness. It sounded to me like it's kind of one of your foundational. You said it's the one that has all 4.
Yeah, so in fact, all of those 4 herbs are in a lot of the teas, or almost all of them, but they're in a larger quantity here because we don't have as many. So like the love potion will have 10, 11 herbs. The women's wellness has 10, 11 herbs, as does the vitality. The wellness has 6 herbs. I forgot in here there's tarragon as well. So you're getting more of those foundational herbs.
Yeah.
This was the first tea that we designed and created on the farm. it's very simple. There's something to be said for when you start simple. But then there's something to be said for diversity. Like people with autoimmune diseases or Lyme disease, diseases that they don't know anything about or how it's happening. You want to go and increase your diversity of vitamins and minerals as vast and as diverse and vast as possible. Because that's what's gonna, don't try and play, you know, everything, you want everything to be linear. We're taught linear equations in our side of the world, but this is not linear. You know, you want to approach this as an art, and as you diversify your vitamins and minerals, you don't have to worry about whether you got vitamin D or E or C or X. Don't think like that. Just be happy that you got them all.
Yeah. And come in a natural form, the body can handle it,
Yeah.
handle everything easier.
Yeah, and like I said, easier, and the alternative is rest and water, and don't drink, you know, slow down your intake, and then find your balance.
Oh, sorry.
Awesome.
So
And so we're just harvesting gotu-kola. We got a lot of curry on the back porch and some tulsi.
She's like, I love the yellow church.
I'm hungry. Let's go to Cola Drive.
Wow.
Check out the curry harvest in the back when
That's about, you guys are gonna
we're gonna make some curry.
trim that up and put that on the trays.
Yep, that's gonna go right in onto the rack,
Smells
go right into the
magnificent.
soda dehydrator, and then ultimately into our curry blend, which is my favorite.
I would be too, but you know what? I promise.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's the one you got to worry about the least.
What is it called?
Stevia.
Stevia.
It's like sugar,
Oh yeah.
sugar replacement.
And the bees love the gotu-kola, it seems like, the most. It's like gotu-kola honey, brain honey.
Well, so whatever's flowering, and this is definitely going off.
Mm.
So many bees. And they don't bother you.
They're busy.
Yeah.
They got things to do.
Literally, they're like, "Ooh, no, baby, they're not bothering."
Well, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Thanks for joining us, you guys, on this
Thank you.
Kauai pharmacy tour. There's the whole chicken crew over there. 5 million chickens.
There's a new ashwagandha patch. We double dug that. Epic ashwagandha patch.
Is this coming out? You're going to bring it out, just keep
So that'll be our next
growing, and you're just going to grow out this way?
That's pretty much the size, you know, 400-ish, 500-ish square feet. Every handful of months will expand.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for watching this video.
In front, where the camera is, over here.
Obviously, there's a link down below to if you want to check out any of the stuff that was talked about today, and there's a website as well with a lot of information. I'm pretty sure that's KauaiPharmacy.com. I haven't confirmed that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. They have a new website. It's easier to navigate, and I'll be in touch. I'm just doing my thing right now. You know. And just wanted to be a blessing to Doug. You know, anyways, since we came here a year and a half ago, the place has doubled, and so it's been an honor to be a part of the growth of this place, to understand and learn more. And what I learned here was actually a lot of the things that I've used and am using now in my own garden. I've learned so much about the power of the microbes in the soil and everything, so I understood even more today about some of the things Doug was talking about. So thank you again, and I will be in touch soon, and peace be with you. Thank you.